I appreciate you, man, for having me on. Obviously coming down last year, hanging out with us a little bit was great insight to who you are, and appreciate your friendship and being with you. My title that I chose is actually Director of Athletic Development. So I believe what we do is, athletic performance is one thing. I hope I don't get, ultimately, scrutinized underneath whether we win or lose. Obviously, that is going to be what it is. But I believe if you can, hey, you gotta conduct my business on how we develop these guys as athletes, because strength and conditioning is what it is. That's probably the majority of it. I want to get them, in the weight room and on the field and doing all those things. But from an athletic development standpoint, there's other factors involved, such as nutrition and sleep and mental performance and mental health. And so I not that I'm in charge of all of those, but I believe that my capacity here reaches all those. And that's why I chose that title. And that's where I think, we do as a profession. And I mean, let's be real. Like, I'm a grunt. Like, that's what I am. That's what I've always been. But I wanted to be different too. Come on. I mean, why not? Get some, I haven't seen that one yet. So I was like, athletic development. Yeah, sure. I got that.
So. I tell you what, I'm going to consider changing the site. Like, we're going to have to get rid of the logo. Like, that's actually really damn good. Like, I really like that. And anybody listening, I am biased. I'm going to 100% say this right now. I'm very biased. I did go and visit them last year. And you brought up nutrition, you brought up sleep, you brought up mental performance. For those that have never been or not seen it on the videos before, it's up on the team walls. And I think the relationship that you and Frakes have together, I don't even think something even as simple as people take for granted is your offices are like right next to each other. And the friendship and just the energy that I felt when I was there. So I hope people listening and watching this can really understand what I'm trying to convey. It just felt different down there. And that's something that you should be proud of.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this maybe right now. But, how I've developed what we're doing, in our organization, and how, as a group, collectively, we are developing these guys as in athletic development. It reaches a lot of different things, and once again, Dr. Matt Frakes, our lead dietitian here, he's literally right next door to me. He could probably hear every word I'm saying right now. And that's how I chose it. Prior to us being here, the person in that position was upstairs and away from the group. And I don't believe in that. I want I want all the influencers, as close to the team as possible. So on a daily basis, as you've seen, Dr. Frakes is in the lifts. Like, he's there, and he looks like a strength coach, so he can't hide. So
he looks better than most strength coaches.
Yeah, I mean, it's way.
Haven't seen it. He's like 315 incline for 8.
Oh, at least, yeah, and that helps, and his assistants, and I try to, I want to make sure that we're not all hiding, and do we all have jobs to do, and in particular, expertise, yes, but we're all here collectively to work together to make sure that these guys, have the best path to success on Saturdays. And that's what it's all about. So diet, athletic training, like I said, mental performance innovation, sports science, obviously your boy, right along with us. And that's everybody. And I, I'm at the place right now where, I am the lead communicator, if you will, on all these pillars. So all those people I just mentioned, I am, we meet, I call our group the foundation. So I have our email group is named the foundation. So, we are the foundation of the organization. Without all of us basement people that, as put in the daily work with the student athletes, the organization will move forward. So we need all of us on the same page and working together. And obviously it starts from the top. It starts from Coach Kelly. And, I've been with him for 20 years. Like, it's just, I kind of,
Is your wife jealous?
I've been with her for 22 years.
Oh, okay.
So we were together in high school. So 20, I might be wrong on that. What's the math? 2000, 2001? A long time. So married for 15 and beyond that. So maybe it's 23. I have no idea. Long enough where we're good. She's the only reason that I walked on the team at Central Michigan. She was basically like, hey, you're soft as hell if you don't freaking try to do this. Because I know you want to do something in college. Like, you want to play a sport, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I think so. She's like, well, do it, you soft ass. So I did it, and then I guess the rest is history. But it's truly where it starts from is Coach Kelly. You know what I mean? I mean, he provides us and me the opportunity to do this. And when he, got this job and said, Jake, let's roll, he said, who do you need? And I already had told him. So it was already on his desk. He knew who I needed, and he just said, all right, let's go get him. And hired all my people. And, from there, we're just trying to continue to grow.
Yeah, shout out Coach Kelly, because, again, seeing from a 10,000-foot view, your guys' interaction when he was there, it just seemed like a strength coach's dream. And I think just about everybody saw it. And whether you'll admit it or not, I'll call it strength coach porn. Because when I saw, I think the DC was the one that was like, hold up the catapult report and was like,
yeah.
This is like, man, like that's just awesome.
And that's the thing, I meet with Coach Kelly daily during the season. In the off season, we're talking all the time. And it's the integration, like what we do here, really with my vision, if you will, and Scott being Scott Kuhn, my manager of applied sports science, a large driver into how we organize things and visualize things and get it in front of them. And there's always, both of us will just be like, I want to see this. I'm an OG sports scientist at Notre Dame. When I was there, starting in 2014, we started grabbing some of these, technologies and some of these, data, integrations within our program. And I was like, I want to learn how to do this. I want to, broaden my skill set. I just was intrigued at it. And then I just kind of fell into it and was the guy that happened to take the lead on all these things that we ended up getting, velocity, base barbell tracking, GPS, sleep monitoring, mega wave, all these things we got over the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll learn how to do that. I have no idea. I'm not very smart. I'll just figure it out. So, but anyways, having Scott here, I'm not very smart. So that's why I got him. I just try to say like, hey, I think I want to see this, and what's it look like? And then he'll go crazy, and 30 minutes later he'll yell from 2 offices down, hey Jake, and then we'll get together, and it's a good thing, and we'll look at it, and then I'll present it to Coach Kelly and rock and roll, and then hopefully it leads to success. And so far we've done okay. I'm not gonna lie, I did actually count this week because Coach Kelly, if we happen to have success on Saturday, will be he'll have his 300th win as a head coach. And I saw something, it was online, like there's only 12 football coaches ever in any division that has that many wins. And so I was like, I wonder how many I've been a part of. And so actually I'm 170 I've been a part of. I haven't hopefully provided something to it, but so I'll be at 171, God willing, after this weekend. So it's got to mean something. I got to see. I think I know what it looks like at least.
Yeah, you know what it looks like a little bit. And to anybody that's listening that didn't have the prior knowledge that I have, that I'm going to share with you, one of the funniest things that I'll never forget from our encounter the first time we met was when you were like, yeah, I practiced football. And then you interrupted yourself again. Yeah, I played, but I didn't actually play in the game, so I just practiced.
Yeah. I'm quite obviously being a father of 6, and, I got a lot of dad jokes or just whatever you want to call it. My humor is, I can go any way you want, really. I'm pretty comfortable with who I am, and you can tell I like to have a good time and like to kind of just, be who you are. And, but that's, I try to always, that's one of the things I say in front of the recruits all the time. And they like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? And I'm like, I'm a walk-on. I didn't play. Like, do you get it? Like, this is who I am. So I've basically been the same size since I was in 7th grade. And this is just what I am. And, I tried hard. And I got a scholarship for 1 year, but it's purely on my ability to coach the guys that actually had the ability. So anyways.
How do you utilize that personality to, like you said, you were coaching guys as a player, and now I'm not calling you the head of the foundation, if that's what you want to call it, whatever.
That's what I am.
Okay, there you go. You are then. Okay. How do you utilize that personality to bring everybody together? Because, like you said, there are long hours, and there's nothing wrong with doing all of those hard work and stuff together. How do you use that to build the camaraderie within the foundation?
Well, I think one, I've experienced a lot of success. I've experienced a lot of things with Coach Kelly, and that kind of, I guess, gives me instant respect or whatever you want to call it, credit, street cred right away, that I know, or at least can pretty much come to a conclusion on what he wants, because that's where it starts. I know that we're all going to have our expertise, like I said, and say in what we do as an organization, but I got a pretty good ear to Coach Kelly, and at least a line of communication at the least, and then from there he is driving me to make sure that we have success, and these different, pillars, if you will, or whatever you want to call them, are doing their jobs. And so, I think that doing that and having, who I am as far as like people know that I will work. Like like I said, I'm a grunt. Like I don't know anything else but to put my head down and work, not really say a word. I don't like to talk that much. I just want to get the job done. But I also, I think I have a personality that people are okay with coming to me, and having, because I tell them, like, listen, I want to know what you're thinking. I don't want in any of my guys, I don't want to just, you guys say, yes, yes. Oh yeah, that sounds great. Cause shit, half the time I don't know what I'm talking about. Like,
Quick break from the show to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out and it helps you be notified when we have new content get released. So again, please hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy this content. And with that, let's get back to the show.
does this look good? You got to tell me, man. Should we be running? Is this 3 sets of 5, 3 sets of 8, 100? What are you? Just let me know. Like, if I'm off, let me know. And I think that's why, biased. I think my staff and my guys and my people around me are so good because they know that, and they're not afraid to speak up when prompted, because I need help. We all need help, and that's where I think both my personality, if you will, is inviting enough for that, but also it's like, this is the standard, and I'm going to live up to it harder than anybody else. I'm going to do the right things. I'm going to be here early. I'm going to tie my shoes when I'm on the floor. I'm going to boom, 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 boom. All these things that we talk about and preach. The only thing I'm missing is I don't sleep. We talk about sleep a lot. I can't sleep that much due to some of those factors I was speaking to earlier. A lot of kids and homework. I don't know, man. 7th grade math. I thought I was good at math, but it's like relearning. Maybe it's the way that they teach it these days. It's insane. I mean, I think I failed a test for one of my fourth grade daughter. She came home and had a bad grade, and Katie's like, "Did you study with her?" I was like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, I didn't know what a subject or a predicate was. Like, what's going on with this? So, anyways, so all those things. I think that can provide a structure that, listen, everybody knows the same, and I'm over communicative. Like, this is what we need. This is what I want. You don't got to talk. You just got to do it. And so let's work together to get there.
For any of our listeners that might be heads of departments like you are, and they might have heard all that and they're like, okay, you're speaking to my soul about being a people person. How do you balance being a people person but still kind of, like you just said, holding the line and not wanting to upset people? Or, you know what I mean? Like, how do you handle that duality?
I mean, like I said, I just think there's a standard, and we want to have success. And if you get upset by me bringing something to the table that you might not like, first of all, let's have a conversation. I'm good with that. We're always going to be able to talk to each other, and that's where I think and I want to provide a structure, because I've been involved with places before that I don't think that was there. You know what I mean? It was, this is what we're doing, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, what I want to do is say, all right, this is what I want to do. This is my vision, but let's work together, because we all need help, and let's work together to do it. So, the standard is there, and that's, like I said, it helps being from Coach Kelly. Like, he knows he's the boss, and then I'm in step with him, and there's nobody in the world that can say that has been with him as long as I have, besides his wife, that we can just we know I know what he's thinking. You know what I mean? And then we gotta just keep going and work together, and like I said, hopefully it leads to wins.
For anybody else that's listening and is in a new football relationship, for lack of a better term, or in that long-term relationship, speak to both of those people. So somebody that's in a new relationship with a new head coach and working through that, whether it's football or basketball, what's your piece of advice? And then for anybody that's been with a coach for a while, how do you nurture it and maintain it over a while?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to speak from experience on the first question you had as far as like a brand new relationship, but I'll say this. So I just think you have to be who you are. I mean, this is me personally talking. I don't want to work at a place or be somewhere where I can't be who I am and can't at least have, a say, and not that, what I say has to go, but we need, if the boss says he needs something, obviously he's probably going to get it. But I know he's open too. If Coach Kelly, he's very open to, I go up there and I say, hey coach, we gotta really watch practice, volume the next couple of days or whatever. Or this is our 4-week outlook, or this is where we're at as a team. He's going to listen, and I know he is. So that's, whether it gets implemented in the way that I exactly want it, that's up to him to decide. But for the most part, we get close. And so I say, build a relationship and don't be afraid to be who you are. Because I just think if you're not, really being who you want to be and being comfortable with where you're at, you're just going to be miserable, and that's just going to be tough, man. You don't want to live like that. So if that's where you want to be, wherever you're at, and you're starting anew, and try to get to a place with the head coach, that, hey, let's work together. It doesn't matter what the sport is, but I would hope that you would work collaboratively, and you got to have. And you also got to be smart. You got to make some of your ideas their ideas. Whether it's if I want to flip something, into coach, I'm like, hey man, listen, you remember when we did this, or remember when we talked about this, or you kind of got to make it his idea. And a lot of times it is, because listen, that's who I learned from. Obviously, I know everything I know from Coach Kelly. So once again, it kind of works for me. As far as nurturing and staying, involved and having a relationship as we move forward, I think it's the same thing. Just being open and communicative and willing to do, whatever it takes to get on the same page, get on the same level as each other, and keep pushing for success. We are not the same, as we were 10 years ago I guess 10 years ago was Notre Dame, or even 15 years ago at the University of Cincinnati, or prior to that to Central Michigan University. It was different times, different structure, but the core of what he is about has not changed. And so if you've been with a coach for a long time, and, I would say just once again, I'm biased, but keep being who you are, and just keep being communicative and keep being on the same page, but also like be okay with bringing new ideas. And, strength and conditioning, if you will, what Coach Kelly has seen. So I've been with, since he's been at Central Michigan in 2004, which was when I was a player for him. There's been, Paul Longo, longtime Iowa head strength coach prior to that, with Hayden Fry. Then in 2016, we didn't have much success. We went 4-8 at Notre Dame, and he got moved on. And Matt Balis came in with a different perspective, and I would not be where I am today without him. But it was totally eye-opening for me. And for 5 years, I think it was, we were together, and he was the head strength coach, and I was able to see different things. And then now myself being who I am, so Coach Kelly has seen really 3 different ways that this approach has been, from a strength and conditioning standpoint. So, he doesn't probably know all the nuts and bolts that happens. I don't want to say he doesn't care, but he just wants, he wants the product. Like, he knows, listen, I need my guys to be, the players to be, able to play and participate at a high level. And so how it gets there could be different. What I'm doing is different than I think what a lot of people do, and every day it's going to be a little different, and there's be some nuances here and there, but it works for me, and it works for our organization, and with Coach Kelly.
If anybody listening was an assistant like you were, head football assistant, and then you now get picked up to go with the head coach, what would be your main 3 things to do and 3 things not to do when you get elevated into that new role? Because you see it happen a lot, right? You're not the first person it's happened to, but because that's a new relationship, no?
Yeah. So, once again, I'm pretty fortunate where I was really close with Coach Kelly, not this close, but at the last place, I was in his office every day. I was, with taking a hold of, GPS. I was the catapult guy. I was getting all the reporting. I was going to him, and that was what I think we started that in 2015 or so, 2016, and so getting exposure to him and those things, and kind of figuring it out together, really, with me and him, along with the other strength and conditioning staff. That was what was great for me, building that relationship. But there's no doubt that it's different. So this is what I'll say without a doubt. You gotta know your plan. You gotta have a plan. Like, it took me, let's go back a little bit, right? So as a strength coach, assistant, assistant director, associate director, co-director, all these different words that didn't really mean much. Just, I'm still there. And that's all it meant. And but I was always, when I first got in, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a head strength coach by whatever, this time, like by the time I'm 30 years old, by the time whatever this happens, there's no doubt. Well, that didn't happen. And so I had to keep going. And then I started having a whole bunch of kids, and then it changes, right? I can't just pick up and go. I had some opportunities to go places, to be a head strength coach, to be assistant at a bigger place, whatever. And I couldn't do it. It just wasn't what was right. And I don't know, I felt it. And so until it finally happened, I continued to make the plan and adjust the plan and have my, in my notes, in my phone, the assistants that I wanted to hire. And whether it was going to ever happen, I was hoping. I was pretty confident, but I didn't know. So when Coach Kelly took the job at LSU, I did not wait for him. I immediately sent him all the information. These are my 4 assistants. I didn't ask. These are my 4 assistants. This is my manager of applied sports science. I'm ready to go. What's up? And so that was it. And as soon as it happened, you know what I mean? He was like, great. All right, let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the plan. And then we got him, It was not a question. It was just, I had to have the plan ready. So number one, have a plan, right? And I think having assistants and having, will it always stay as it happened, I guess, for me? I'm not sure, but I had backups. I had these guys, and I contacted all the guys and I said, hey, you ready to go? Like, let's get a plan ready. And so just being organized. Being organized and having a plan. And then when you actually nuts and bolts of training, once again, have an idea. And I'll tell you this, when I got here, listen, I was never a head strength coach. Like programming, I had done over the years, and had some select groups, and the way that the previous head strength coaches I worked underneath is they pretty much planned everything, and then but learning and pulling things here and there, it was all new to me. But I was like, here's my plan. So I guess it does go back to planning and organizing, but this is what we're going to do. And I truly believed in it and the philosophy, and obviously having a good staff to bounce things off of was tremendous and huge. But that was it. And, what was your other question? 3 of the other side, right?
Yeah, like what are probably the 3 things they should never do? Like, right? Because like the reason I ask this is I used to always ask Rob when I was working with him at Towson. I'd be like, maybe once every quarter, something, or hey, what are 3 things I'm doing great? What are 3 things you want to make sure I stop doing? Like just to kind of stay on pace, right?
The number one thing is to be close-minded. Like I'm telling you. One of the things we have here, and I'll be forthright, is we have a system, an accountability system. You remember seeing it, the SWAT system. Remember? So it's right now it's the in-season workout accountability teams, and it's a pretty in-depth system, if you will, of numbers and points that all collectively take into account a lot of different things in the working out in the weight room, on the field, academics and discipline. Well, that was something that didn't really come about with Coach Kelly till 2017. And so prior to that, I was, it wasn't in my mind. And when he came here, he was like, we're doing this. And I probably, to be honest, would not have taken that if that was on my hierarchy of things to take. But I made it my own, molded it the way we wanted to, got really smart people behind me that we could implement the system I wanted. And it's been great, and it's been organized, and I really, really think it's it's a huge part of what we do, and I'm for it. And so that's the other thing, being open-minded. Don't be closed-minded. Like, don't say this is what we're doing and I'm sticking to it, because then if Brian Kelly comes down and says, we need this, and we need to stretch our hamstrings, like, got it, coach. I'll probably find a way to do it in a way that I want to do it, but still you got to be able to show, hey, this is what we're doing. You see, coach, you want to do this? We got it. Like, in a way, and then just be confident. Don't, so I guess I'm kind of saying a lot of things that you should do, but don't be closed-minded. Don't be soft and get, your feelings hurt when the head coach says something, because if this is what you want to do, there's going to be some times where you got to do things that you might not fully believe in. It's going, but you got to make it your own. That's the thing. I would hope that you would be in a place, that's kind of goes back to my original conversation. Like, when you go to a place, like, be who you are, but also know that there's going to be the football coach, the assistant, the D-line coach. They're going to say, oh yeah, power clean. That's the exercise, man. That's it. And maybe you never power clean. Maybe you don't want to power clean, but maybe you can, entertain it for a little bit and then give them some knowledge back to why you would or wouldn't use it. So yeah. And just, I would say, don't worry about, the noise outside. If you take, because on the other side, if you take everything from everybody, then you're not going to be who you are. So, you got to be true to yourself.
anybody listening right now might be like, man, I gotta listen to some people, but not who are these people I'm supposed to listen to, Jake? What am I
That's for you to
supposed to
figure
do?
out. That's for you to figure out. I mean, hopefully you have some intuition and you have a subscription to sports, or excuse me, to the Strength Coach Network, so that you have the right people to listen to when it comes time to it. The people that know what they're talking about in that realm. And then there's other, other entities or other, people you got to listen to, whether it's leadership and building good characteristics and all those things.
Yeah, no, I'll speak to the leadership stuff. I mean, that was something that I was directly in charge of when I was at Iowa. And I mean, you wanted like every little thing. It was like, hey, did you go to the bathroom the right way? Like
Right.
it was record, rank, publish, everything, like all of
Right.
the sled stuff. And but the guys will truly, they said like that felt like that was kind of something that they knew, like every little detail mattered, to try to teach them. The little things will add up over time. Yes, it might be little and certain things, but like how to just instill that life of doing things that matter, because it's going to add up over time.
Yeah.
For you guys, and switching gears, going from up north, we talked about the weather change before we started, recording this. What is the piece of advice that you're going to give to any of our listeners that they may be training a team down south for the first time? Like, how real is it, and then how do you prepare for it beforehand?
Taking a quick break from the show to talk to you guys about our sponsor, TeamBuildr. If you have any online training platform needs, TeamBuildr is the go-to place. TeamBuildr has the ability to integrate with velocity-based training tools. They have the ability to program and have notes and videos for all of your athletes and your clients. This is your number one stop shop. Been using it since 2019 when I was working at Towson. So I've used it, love it. Make sure you check it out. Go ahead, click the link down in the description. And with that, let's get back to the show.
Okay. I'll say this summer. So I've been here for 2 summers, now. This summer was very hot, very hot. The camp, our August, football camp, preseason camp, very hot. Record setting for Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So how do we, to go back, my very first training session, first team run after I had been here in December for the bowl prep from the previous coaches. So that was an interesting, unique opportunity. But as soon as we started, hey, this is Coach Kelly's team. There was a team. I did a team run. I did a whole team workout outside at 6 a.m. and it happened to be like 31 degrees. And so I kind of set the tone there where it's like, and I didn't know any better. I just wore shorts and a t-shirt. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not, but I like to be a little bit cold. I just like to be. And they were like, Coach, you're crazy, man. We don't do this down here. And they were like frigid, like they couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is nothing. Like, we're just going to go. It doesn't matter, what the weather is, all this stuff. So maybe instilling that mindset from the very start that whether, and I told them, I said, you guys will pay me back. Don't worry. In the summers down here, we got like a day of summer up from where I'm from, and that was about it. And so I'll be sweating when it comes time to, but my mind was made up. And this is, once again, going back to Coach Kelly's philosophy. At the University of Cincinnati, we didn't have a practice field. We didn't have an indoor. We didn't have a practice field. We had to go. We were on the game field, and I don't know if you've been there, but it's in the middle of campus. It's wide open. But needless to say, whether there was snow or rain, or unless there was a huge risk at hand, we were outside. And that's where I'm going to go outside as much as I can, for the most part in training. And I knew from the start that we were going to train out in the elements. And actually, Coach Tommy Moffitt, who obviously is a legend in our field, who was previously here for 20 years, he was one of the first to reach out to me, and we've built a great relationship since I've been here, and he's been phenomenal for me and along the way. And he was like, Jake, you got to get ready for this. And he's like, it's going to be hot, it's going to be rainy. And the first summer, it rained every day. Not even like a joke. It rained every single day of the whole summer. But we were outside, whether it was a little bit rainy or hot, we were outside. And then this year, it didn't rain at all. We were in a huge drought, but it was super hot. And I just knew that we had to train in it, And so I was smart, obviously, leaning on my athletic trainers and myself and my staff. Like, we weren't, putting our players at risk, but we had to train in the elements. And so to prepare for it is just that. And to I know it's a little cliche, but to give them the mindset that, like, no matter what, we got to go outside. Like, we got to play. It doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be hot. It's going to be cold. It's going to be in the middle, whatever it is, we got to go. So, that's kind of how we prepared for it. And, then as you go along, you lean on the people that are expertise at that. Hey, do we got to take a 10-minute break and go, into our, refrigerated boxes that we have? Do we have to go in the cool tent? Do we have to, maybe we can go outside for half the practice and go inside? Maybe, things like that along the way. You got to be flexible and willing to take advice from those who, can make those choices.
Because I know it's been out there, not with you guys, but with other teams. Like, hey, we're getting ready. We have a kickoff at this time. It's going to be record high. Like, you have to go outside and prepare for that. On the flip side, how do you handle when it's cold if you've never been around it? Like, because that's the other side of it. Like, what do you do?
The best experience I have since I've been here is we played Arkansas last year, later in the year, and it was. Yeah, it was.
You guys had a big home game too.
Yeah, it was like in the 30s maybe. It was chilly. Like, it was chilly, and of course, these guys play into that, man. They go, man, it's great, face mask and like basically have mittens on, and they're walking out like Christmas Story basically, and we played a video. We played that video. Of course, everything's taped, videoed these days. And we played the first team run that I had, where dudes, saw their breath while they were running, and had their hands covered up by their sleeves, and it goes back to, we've done this, guys, and it's not that bad. Like, you can go. And we played that video prior to going out on the field, and we played it up a little bit, but use that to get them in the mindset that no matter what the temp is, we're going to go. And obviously, going back to like Dr. Frakes, having hot chocolate and bone broth and things like that, you got to have ideas. And even if it's just kind of placebo, like, hey man, drink this hot stuff and you'll be good to go, and the tough guys that put Vaseline on and things like that, it's, you find different ways to kind of trick them into, one, you think that you're making themselves think that they're tough by doing this, which has nothing to do with toughness, but whatever. Just going, You
just said the word tough a lot of times. What does the word tough mean to you, and how do you define it for the guys down there? And how do you think other coaches that are listening to this should use that as a framework? Obviously, they're going to make it their own, but how do you define it?
I thought about this a lot, and toughness, and it gets thrown around so much, and it's simple for me. Toughness is being consistently doing the right things all the time. Like, toughness is, to me, is, and this is not how hard can you do one workout. How hard can you do a bunch of workouts? It's how hard can you do everything all the time? Can you show up on time? Can you be a good person? Are you going to hold the door for anybody, let alone, a woman or child? Are you going to, brush your teeth in the morning? Are you going to, go to school? Are you going to call, your loved ones at times? Like, all that stuff matters, and that makes you tough, I think, if you can be consistent in life at doing all the things you're supposed to do. Because it sounds easy, but it is a hell of a lot harder than you think. And I'm not saying I am tough by any means. The toughest person I know is my wife, by far, like, without even a doubt. And but as far as being tough goes, and I tell the guys a lot, and they maybe get sick of it, but guys, you got to have routines. Like, I have 15 alarms. I go to bed at this time. I do the lunches. My wife does the clothes. We attack homework together. We eat dinner together every night. It might be at 10:30, but that's what we do. I wake up at 5:30 no matter what, unless it's the off season and I woke up a little earlier. I have my coffee already set, my shorts, my underwear, my socks, my shirt already set to go. I don't wait for the morning I don't even turn the lights on in the morning. It's all dark. Like, and it's not, I'm not lying to them, but they also, I think maybe it's good to hear that, doing things consistently over time is tough, and you don't want to do those things all the time, and that's the toughest part of it. But, I mean, to me, toughness is can you be the same person in a good way over time? Can you, be, thankful and joyful of what your opportunity is each and every day? That's being tough.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I actually defined it when I was at Towson, literally looked up the definition of it. It was like something that's hard to break. If you're you're hard to break with, you do the right thing day in and day out. Over the last 10 years, a lot has changed in college football, and a lot has changed in strength and conditioning. What has been the biggest aha moment for you?
Aha moment? I mean, I think in strength and conditioning, the biggest thing that's changed for me is the ability that we have to gather informative data. I mean, that's just what it is. In the end, I train the way I truly know we need to, but having the capacity or the ability to look at things and not have to guess, and having Scott to be able to organize it and display it is incredible. And I think that that's a big thing, is the kids these days need to see, how they're doing. Because back in our day, back whatever, even 10 years ago, you just worked and didn't know any better. And you knew that you were getting better, but to show them and to have, Smarter Base on their phones, and to see every single day I hit a new PR in speed. Here's my, progress pictures over the years. Here's my body weight, progress. Here's my DEXA scans. Here, everything, right? And they can see it, and so they know, hey man, at this point in my off season, I was really doing the right things. Maybe I slipped up a little bit at this point, and it actually showed. Come back to it, and then let's get you back on track, And so I think the visualization, I think the athletes these days, the kids these days, need to see things. Now, it's not going to keep me from telling them, because that's just who I am. At the end of the day, like, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. I did say I don't like to talk. I don't like to talk much, but I tell them what they need to know in pretty, not very many words. But also, like, I tell them, man, like, listen, there's not one thing we're hiding. I mean, you tell me, you talk to more strength coaches, we have a unique setup here where I don't hide a thing, and they know everything that goes on. And I don't need to show that you're making a 10-pound improvement on your squat. Like, it really doesn't mean much to me. I could, everybody's improved over their off season. I did a good job. Listen, that sounds great. But what I want to do is, if a guy is not doing the right things and it's not showing up in development, we gotta find out why. Let's fix it, man, and get to the root of that. So.
That's actually awesome. Hearing you say that made me think about something that I literally don't remember where I heard it, but it said something about, like, this generation might ask why more and want to see more, but they might actually work harder for you because of that. Like, yes, you might have to put in a little bit more effort on the front end,
Yeah.
but on the back end, you're going to get more out of it. Does that hold water, to quote my cousin Vinny?
That's awesome. Yes, I think exactly. Like, you gotta. There's a lot of education and a lot of, you got to constantly be on these guys. I mean, it's exhausting, but it's okay, because they are inquisitive. There's no doubt. Hey, why are we doing this? Hey, I saw this on Instagram. Why don't we do this? My trainer back home, we do this, and I'm like, well, this is why I don't do this, or this is why maybe we do this. And I inform them, hey, every Wednesday we're going to do a speed top off. We're running, we're sprinting, hitting 90% of your max velocity. Well, why do we do that, coach? This is why, and it shows, hey, and then I can show them in the game, you actually were able to utilize that when needed. Is it always needed? No, but we're going to make sure that you have that capacity and capability to do that at certain times. And just, there's so many other branches you could go. But they think they know it all, more than I've ever seen. And it's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm going to tell you why maybe you're on the right path or maybe not. And just, it takes time. There's no doubt, like always, to build trust and relationships, but it's going to get there.
On the flip side of the technology, and this is something that I've talked about before on Strength Coach Network, but how do coaches in this technology era where you have all the things that you have and we're trying to help the sport coach, at what point do you think the sport coach might feel like, do I even get to coach my own team? I got all these people telling me what to do. Like, at what point does the pendulum swing too far and we're overstepping our bounds? Because that's something I've always wondered.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I can only speak to how we do things. And Coach Kelly, he wants to be informed, but in the end, he knows what to do. Like, he has 30 plus years of experience as a head coach. I've been with him for 20 of them. I've been a head strength coach, the director of athletic development for 2 years. And at this point in time, over the last 10 years, I've given him a lot of feedback, right? Whether it's GPS or force play data, he wants to know all of that. And that's the thing. He wants to know it, and then we'll make the decision from there. And does it always tip it in the favor that I think? Most of the time, we're in a pretty good spot. But there's definitely going to be times. This is what I'll say. He knows that I'm not there just trying to say, look at what I can do. Like, look at this, man. I do all this, and look at, hey, Scott made this graphic, man. It's unbelievable. You should see it. We don't do that. He knows that we truly want to do what's best for the team, and so that's providing the correct information at the correct time, and knowing that he knows that I'm going to give him advice or from how I see it and my expertise to him without, knowing that he could snap back and say, no, we're going to do it this way. All right, let's roll, baby. I'm with it. I'm with you. Let's go. So, but there's no doubt that I think you could overdo it, or just if you once again don't have the relationship, or if you just think you're going to, be the data guy and that's all you got going for you, then, if you don't have any substance to who you are and how you do things, then you're probably going to be in a tough spot.
I mean, it'd be another My Cousin Vinny quote, but I mean, he talks about the deck of cards and how shiny it is, but it was just, it's thin.
I'm going to go back and watch that for reference.
A great movie.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How has being a dad of, the six-pack as you talked, how is that making you a better coach? Because you have 6 kids to deal with, so you have a lot of different personalities. Talk about what it's like raising a family in college.
Is this a spawn off of Mike McDaniel from yesterday? Did you see that?
I have no idea
Was it Mike McDaniel? Is it Mike McDaniel, the head coach for the Dolphins? Is that his name? He had a great quote the other day about being a dad and being a head coach. But you're just
under a
that.
rock, brother.
No. So once again, being a father who hopefully I'm doing an okay job. You have to be organized. You have to be confident. You have to be loving. You have to be willing to provide, great example and structure to the kids. But also, like, I learn a lot from my kids. A lot. Like, they're awesome and crazy smart, and I'm totally blessed to have the wife that I have that drives most of the structure that we have. But it's the same thing. I mean, as a college coach and dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds, they're not far off from my 3-year-old. But it is a joke, but it's also probably true. Like, they want to be instructed. They want to know what's right from wrong. They want to do that. Will they always choose the right path? Absolutely not. But there's no doubt that you have to continue what you know is true and believe in. But there's a lot of similarities, man. And getting into this business before I had any kids, it wasn't many years, just a couple years. And, I think it's probably one of the driving factors. I hope it's one of the driving factors for why we get into this thing. And it goes back to when I was a player, when I practiced for Coach Kelly, that I wanted to get the guys that really had the ability to do the right thing. If that was me just trying to give them, education and instruction and working my ass off on the scout team so that they could take, the real reps, or when they were, when they happened to be a little bit dinged up, I'll take the reps with the ones. Like, it didn't matter what it was. I want to do this because I want to help those guys, and I want to help these, the players to, become who they want to become. And I have a very good idea of how that should look. And I want to, whether that's talking to them one-on-one or pushing them or coaching them or providing them with, I think, an optimal structure to develop. Like, all those things involved, I want to help. I just want to help these dudes. And I think that's the reason that I got into this. And I know I don't say it maybe as clean and defined as others, but I want to help these dudes and help them be who they are and who they want to be. And it's going to take a lot of work every single day, and that's the same thing as being a father and a husband. Is there ain't no days off at all, and you always gotta go.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no calling out to be like, oh, you gotta figure it out today, kid. Like, you're on your own with this one. That don't happen, right?
Right. No, I mean, if my 3-year-old needs help, I'm probably going to help him. I might have him, do some things on his own to try to process and go. But my 22-year-old running back, he might have to figure some things out on his own too, but I might have to be there for him when he falls and pick him up, and it's all those things, and it's very similar.
And like you just said, though, you're going to be spending that amount of time with them, so you're going to be
Yes.
investing in them. And like, so anybody that is listening to this now, like, still rewind and hear that again. It is about pouring into the kids and not like I was actually in a conversation with a personal terrorist today, not a personal trainer. I'm going to quote Buddy Morris on that one, but he was like, he's putting out all this crap, and I was like, bro, like let's talk about this and try to. He's like, I got 200,000 followers. I'm not like. How about we actually put out something that's good for these kids?
Yeah.
Because, like you said, they are so young and impressionable, and we need to be there to help guide and foster those relationships with them, because these are very vulnerable years for these athletes, for these people trying to figure out what they want to do.
There's no doubt. I mean, you hit it right in the head. I mean, in these days, there's so many voices to these players, whether it be NIL or agents already. And
Already?
I'm gonna. Oh yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
at the Power 5
So
game since 2018.
so these kids, they can have agents right now, and that's how they get the NIL deals. Is they have these agents literally that can negotiate different contracts for whatever. And so that's been a complete change. I mean, that's just within the last 2 years of college football, and other voices that are always there, family and friends, and oh yeah, he's trying to hold you back. You should be playing. Do you not understand that if you are successful and we as a team make the right decisions, I also get paid and I also can feed my family. But it goes, it's all those things. I want you to do well, so of course I can do well. But like you just said, we're here and we spend a lot of time with you and build relationships, and I truly want you to succeed. So why don't you listen? No, shut up and go. No, but yeah, I mean, that's it. There's so many, like you said, they're sponges. They are, and they want to know. And the kids these days are so like you just said. That's a perfect example. I saw this on Instagram. This Bosu ball, like whatever, quarter squat with, Seedman showed me this one time. And well, do you know what you're talking about? Do you know if he knows what he's talking about? I'm with you every day. I'm with, don't say my trainer. I am your coach, if you will, your guy here, and I'm gonna give you the right plan. If you don't think so, then I mean, we got to have a talk. But it's just never going to change. But it's always going to be there. We need to continually talk to these guys and educate them, and they want to be told. But also, there's a lot of noise coming from every direction for these guys.
Forecasting ahead, what do you think is going to be the next trend or the next thing that's going to happen in strength and conditioning that will disrupt the industry, whether for the good or for the negative?
Oh man, I don't think like that. You gotta come up with something. I mean, it's probably going to be that. By the time, is it going to be this time of the season or time of the year where they have their own trainers and like the NFL, there's going to be, I don't know. I've never been in the NFL, but I know in the NFL, there's guys that, hey, they're going to be with the team, but also they might get some work in with their guys that might be in town, right? I mean, I think that's a thing. Is that going to be a thing in college athletics? I mean, I hope not, but, it could be where these guys, get a deal with the local, box and whatever trainers, and they got to go and they want to go and train or develop, or even if it's skill work, right? I mean, I'm going to go to my guy and get my work in after practice. Well, what do you think practice did? Like, so maybe that's something that's going to be there. I don't know.
No, that's an interesting point, because from our conversations with Buddy and then my friend Moses over at the Patriots, he actually talks about how like his biggest off season is actually the in season, because it's his most concentrated time.
Oh yeah.
Where they can actually be around the guys. He's like, bro, you're with the guys 48, 47 like weeks out of the year. He's like, you can really get your hands on it and do some things, and you don't have that long of a break where you get that interrupted training, which then that's when you see all those spikes of injuries, whether it be because they're acute to chronic or load isn't high enough or what, right?
Right. Moses is a great guy, by the way. I spent a week with him a few years ago now, maybe 5 years ago. He's a OG strength coach. Like, he's one of the best.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, it makes sense. It's the same for us. I tell them when I recruit, when I'm doing recruiting presentations, I don't put up our off-season program. I talk about it, but I talk about why and how you want to come here because of my in-season program, and it's the organization. It's not just how we lift weights. It's how I have an influence or how we construct our in-season program. It's Coach Kelly and the practice modeling and the way we provide you with a nutrition plan and recovery modalities and all these things. This is the most important time. If you want to say, this is when you make your money. I mean, literally in the NFL, that's when you make money. Is the only time you get paid is during the season. You don't get paid in the off season. So I always kind of say that, but it's also like, listen, we don't just guess in season and think that, oh yeah, we're getting better, getting worse. Like the reason we do all these things, these, kind of moving force plate jumps and Nordic hamstring curls and GPS monitoring and, speed exposures is because I want to make sure that you're still in a good spot to produce on Saturdays. And not a lot of, I don't really know. I don't really care. That's how I'm doing it. You know what I mean? And I'm going to provide you with that structure, and we're going to continue to progress and push so that you can not just kind of maintain. It's going to be, that's the longest period from August till hopefully January at some point. That's when we're training. Like it's a lot of weeks. And so we'll get a couple 8-week blocks, obviously in the off season, and we have spring ball and you're going to make it. You're going to be lifting. That's all you're going to do. So you're going to, of course, I mean, as an 18, 22-year-old, I hope your testosterone is going crazy at that time and you're going to make some gains. Like, I hope you would. Geez. I hope no matter what you do, you're probably getting a little bit bigger, faster, stronger, a little bit. I think what we do here is better than that. But also, like I said, in the in-season, that's where we need you the most. That's what you came here for. You didn't come here to, squat. You came here to play football.
I actually used to say that to the recruits too. That I would be like, "Hey, listen, I'm not familiar with your high school. At what point during the game did the referee stop the game and bring the power rack out for anybody to lift?"
Be sweet.
Mom, dad, and the kids, they just start laughing. I was like,
Yeah.
like, you're here to play football, and then you have to lift with me as part of it. So let's keep the main thing. Without giving away any of your secrets, but from a 10,000-foot view with recovery, how do you think it's best to periodize the different modalities so the body doesn't just get used to it and it's like, oh, I'm not going to actually recover, because you see it all the time where people are just always in the normal tempo, always doing this one thing.
The best thing that I can say is in the off season, I really push and educate to just sleep and eat, and you're gonna be sore, and I want you to be in the red. When we're doing our wellness questionnaires every single day, and you say you're super sore and fatigued, I hope you are during the off season. Not every, I mean, to a point, you get what I'm saying. Because then you don't all the whether it be undulating your recovery modalities and such. Like I want you to recover from how you're creating great habits away from here, to know that should stay with you and hold true during the season. But hey, listen, there is a way, and there's some other ways that we can help you out in this in-season block, if you will. But that's the biggest thing, is we really we try hard to get the guys to not have any kind of recovery to a certain extent, modalities, and just learn how to live and get to a point you can work every day within the means of your habits and routines every day. And then during the in-season, we'll go from there.
For anybody that is listening and you talk about nutrition and they're like, okay, how do you get people to eat fruit and veggies if they've never done it? What's your go-to strategy?
It's hard, man. On one, having Dr. Frakes, and he's huge. He's literally big, physically.
He's a big dude, right?
He's a big fella. Played college football, obviously is tremendous, and couldn't do what I'm doing without him. And I mean, it takes time, and sometimes it takes. We used to joke. I'm sure Scott told you. There was, I think it was a wide receiver for us last year that, like, he ate strawberries once and like had a good practice or a good game or something. We were like, dude, you see, man, if you eat a little bit of veggies and fruit, like, you're going to be in a good spot. And it was a joke, but maybe it was true. But, it's just getting them and finding creative ways that they will, do what we educate them on. Because there's no doubt that they don't know, and it's not them to blame. They don't know that, not eating Chick-fil-A sandwiches every single day is not the best thing for them or whatever. And this beautiful facility that you saw, the cafeteria we have available for them, it actually is good. And don't just, be short to say that food's nasty. Like, is it? Have you tried it? Do you even know what food you're supposed to eat? And we provide them with all that structure. So the biggest thing is just you got to beat them over the head with the hammer until they find a way to get a little bit in there. Then they might find a little success and go from there. It's not easy.
What's it like working at a place with all the buzz down there of like baseball, women's basketball both won national championships? Like, what is that like working in a campus where it's, to quote one of my buddies, he's like, it's 4th and goal from the 1 every day.
Yeah, it's awesome because there's no pressure. Like, it's just a privilege. Like, at the last place we were at for 12 seasons, it was similar. Like, there was no league. It was just you had to win. And so, I mean, it's why we got into this. I mean, if we aren't in here to have success, then, why are we doing this? So, but there's no doubt that I think it's a good thing. Like, it brings exposure. It brings some energy. I'm all for, like, organic, natural energy that even if it comes from other places, like they put something out, I'm sure, on social media. We played up the whole baseball thing this past off season. I got all my guys baseball jerseys, and I like to have fun sometimes during the training sessions, and we had I think it was a hitting contest or something. I can't even remember what it was. It was something like that. It wasn't even a home run derby. It was just, it was pitching. It was hitting. That's what it was. We were throwing a baseball against the wall, and we put a strike zone, and they had a couple pitches to try to hit the strike zone. That's what it was. And so we played it up, and it was fun. And so all that I'll take, and I think it's good for the players. Like, they see the other teams. You think they're not talking to each other. You think they're not hanging out with the baseball guys or hanging out with the basketball girls, and knowing, like, hey, we're having success. Oh man, well, I want a piece of that too. Like, why, so I think it goes all around. It just provides a great atmosphere for all of us to push for success.
How do you get those how do you do that organically for anybody that's listening? Like, okay, is it just because it is naturally who you are, getting back to what you talked about, but like, how do you foster that for somebody that maybe isn't that way and they're trying to get that success?
Yeah. You mean like, from an energy standpoint, right, or just success?
To
like,
it authentic, because like you said, we're not talking about putting the fours up and wearing sunglasses at night, waving.
So let me go off on a little tangent here. So our first team meeting with Coach Kelly and the team, he literally said, this is where he's the best. It's word for word. My strength conditioning coaches will not be waving towels on the sideline. Your job is to get yourself motivated, to get yourself fired up. And so if you can't do that, then we gotta find a way to move on. And from there, we just sat back like, what's up? Like, now I personally, my personality, I'm a little bit. I'm a guy. I get a little energetic, and it's just natural. Like, I like to have a good time, to but during the summer, whether it just happened or not, I'll break my capacity sessions or tempo sessions up into 4 quarters. Sometimes it just happens like that, where we have a certain amount of reps for a certain amount, and it's 4 quarters, and I'll always educate them. We're going into the 4th quarter. Coach Kelly has a 4 quarters of winning football, LSU football, that we kind of break down with different mantras and words, and it just works perfectly. And I explain it a lot during the off season, and I say, there's one thing we never do, and from the start, from when they're true freshmen or not, we do not put 4s up. We don't. I want to look at the other sideline and have them putting 4s up. This is not a 4th quarter program. This is our program, our athletic development program. That's what it is. And so if you're just going to try to get it done in the 4th quarter, then you're going to have some issues prior to that. So it's just all those things from Coach Kelly. Like I said, from the top, he wants energy and enthusiasm, not false energy, but genuine enthusiasm. That's one of our mantras coming out of the 3rd quarter. Coming out of the locker room, we want energy and enthusiasm. How do you provide that? Well, it's by doing well. If we're on defense, let's go 3 and out. If you're on offense, go down and score. You're probably going to be excited if you're having winning games and scoring more points than the opponent or making stops. You're going to have some natural juice to you. Do you need a guys waving on the sideline and having towels? maybe there's some guys that like to do that. I'm not going to like tell them to stop. If there's some players that want to do that, sure, that's cool. But that's not something that we're going to orchestrate. It's not going to be, all right, we need the juice going. We need a juice guy. You know what I mean? It's just, so, it just comes from the top. So it's kind of easy for me. But also, like I said, I'm naturally kind of a little bit, my optimal zone, if you will, is a little bit higher than some. And my guys, as far as who you saw who I got here. My guys are awesome. They're going to provide. Well, they're going to provide whatever stimulant, whatever environment that they're creating and getting in their mind. Like Seger's fired up at times. Ike's fired up at times. Z played in the NFL for a few. Like it's going to be there. Scott, we're going to wait. We're going to have a couple fist pumps here and there, and then, but it's got to happen from success. I think, and being involved in the process. When you're so involved in the process of how we're doing things, and you see it come to fruition, then I would hope you're going to have some energy and excitement from that.
Yeah, when you see a kid that you've been with, and maybe it's a kid that hasn't played for a while, and you see him go and succeed, and you're obviously jacked up for that, and that's completely different, and that's something we've talked about at Strength Coach Network for a while. Like, look, if you put the fours up, put the threes, the twos, and the ones, because they're all just as valuable. The last question I have for you here is, what has been best book that you've read that has shaped anything within your training philosophy? If there is one. Or if you're like,
so
it's just Strength Coach Network all the way.
That's Strength Coach Network all the way. I am known for buying books and never reading them. or I'm a big all right, I'm just gonna go to them and kind of reference every book. So I've bought a lot of books over the years, like we all have, I'm sure. And like I said, I reference many books. I honestly can't think of one book that's my book. I've read a lot. So my undergrad, the way I learned or the way I got into this was through, I played for Coach Kelly, practice for him, sorry. And the head strength coach at the time, literally the day I got done, he's like, "You're my assistant." I was like, "Cool, let's go." So obviously there's a little bit before that, but my undergrad, I took 6 years of college before I graduated with my bachelor's, 192 credit hours. And I think I had a 3.78 or something like that. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I think I ended up graduating with a teacher certificate with business ed. I was going to be a computer teacher. And so it had nothing to do with, kinesiology, exercise phys, things like that. So I knew how to teach, I knew how to coach, and learning, how to program and how the human body works and a lot of things just came from a lot of reading, a lot of, I didn't take any postgraduate degree courses until I was 36, I think, and had 5 kids. I was like, oh, this is perfect timing. Let's get a master's degree. Hell yeah. And but it meant something to me then at that point, where I had years of experience, where I could really have some contextual, experience along with it, with my learning, so I could really take it and put it into play right away, and it was awesome. But prior to that, it was just a lot of on the fly or in the field coaching and experience and talking. And my thing is, I like to talk to people. I try to, gather as much info from coaches, from peers, from other entities, and just how's it going? How can I utilize your skills or what you've done, your experience, and try to maybe mold it into my own. But to answer your question, I don't have a favorite book. Read a lot of kids' books.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Dino basketball right now is the one that I just took out from school. So, yeah.
There we go. I love it.
What would you say then for, the whole point of why we exist is we're bridging the gap from what is taught in classroom to what happens in the real world. Any young strength coach that's been listening this far, what's your couple pieces of advice then?
Man, just be open-minded, continue to learn. Like I said, it took me till I was 39 years old and 16 years as an assistant to be a head strength coach or a director of athletic development. And if that's what you strive to be, just know that and believe it's going to happen in the right way. But always have a plan. Always have a plan and be organized and be open-minded. That's my 3 things. Have a plan, be organized, and be open-minded, because you're going to need all those things. You're going to need good people around you in order to hopefully have a successful career.
Amen to that. thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing down there. You guys, I think you're making college football strength and conditioning better. I think you're doing the right thing. So you should be proud of what you're building down there, bro.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.